Dennis reached out to me and asked, if we would be interested in doing a segment on the show, and I said, of course, I'd love to. So this would be a great time to just kind of transition and reintroduce Dennis and I'm sorry, your company name again
Is Soft Complex.
Soft Complex. So great, and so you developed the garadget, which is a really cool. I've got let's see, I've got a still store. Let's see if I can get this. We'll try this fancy thing. Look at that! Look at that! I see. I've got your device up there. So you've got one with you right there. So this is a device that that you invented, that you created, that connects to your garage door. And we were talking just a little bit before the show about kind of what you were aiming to do. Can you tell me a little bit about what your goal when you set out to develop this product?
Again, the goal was to create a product which will be easy to install, inexpensive, and it will cater to both groups of casual or beginner home automation enthusiasts or just average consumer. And also it will be open to home automation community so they can tinker with it, create custom firmware, on traditional uses, integrate it with their projects. So I tried to make something that will satisfy both of the consumer groups. And ease of installation was a big component of it. And I came up with a way to use laser uh, to avoid the long and complicated wiring or additional battery-powered sensors that require maintenance, and batteries can freeze, or that adds to the cost and complexity. So that's how I came up with this laser idea, and it surprisingly worked beautiful. I expected it to be marginal, but the reliability I'm getting from this is incredible. The only scenario where it's performing less than optimal is when there is a bright source of light right behind the device. So it may not work for outdoor settings, but for may not work quite as well, I'd rather say.
So, I
But
mean, obviously, the main target for this is garage doors. But what really makes it, this is really kind of like a boundary sensor. You're using that laser to determine whether or not you've got a reflector, which you would mount to the door. And as the door goes up, the beam breaks, and that tells you that the door's up, right?
yeah, the beam still hits the door, but the rate of reflection is much less than those retroreflective tags that you see on the safety cones.
Sure.
And that's noticeable difference for the photo sensor, and I can reliably determine that the door has moved from its closed position.
That's cool. And of course, I assume that this product is a standalone device that you don't really need any home automation system to function. I watched some of the
Yes,
videos. So you've got a
that's part of it when I mentioned that somebody who's absolutely new or to home automation, or has no interest in home automation to begin with, just want their garage controlled remotely. That's the only thing they need. It uses the Wi-Fi, so it connects to their home router, and it uses their smartphone to talk to it. So
cool.
people who don't want to get into home automation or just want to try the waters, so to speak, that's going to be a great starting point.
Yeah. I've got a couple remote locations that have garages, and I may not want to put a full home automation system in there, but just being able to open the garage door or remotely or not, it'd be a nice add-on there. So yeah, no, I mean, when I first started home automation, I just got a contact sensor and a relay to just open and shut the button controller on the garage door, and just knew if the garage door was open or closed. But really quickly right after that, I put in a camera to make sure what I was doing was working, because there really wasn't a whole lot of feedback from that. Tell me why you took the laser approach instead of that contact sensor.
Well, my initial experiment was with the actual magnetic, read sensor and magnets, but the complexity of that is beyond of the skill level of many homeowners. And thing is that the wiring itself and then alignment of the magnet and sensors is quite a complicated process. Even though I'm not new to the whole thing, I ended up replacing a couple of reed sensors because they were not optimally positioned, and they just got ripped out of the spot when the door moved sideways. So this is something that really puts the barrier between garage door controller and mass consumption. The product that would be friendly to average homeowner.
Sure.
So, and I didn't want to add complexity with any separate standalone like radio link sensors. So that's where the idea of laser kind of came to me when I was driving at night and saw that bright reflection from those safety cars. And I'm like, okay, that might work. So I built the proof of concept, and I create an algorithm which adjusts for ambient light. So it looks actually not just at the absolute level of reflection, but at the differential. So the laser first measurements is done before the laser is activated, and then there's a second measurement, and then I compare the difference. So this way it self-adjusts for different ambient levels of lighting in the environment.
So obviously the main purpose is garage doors, but Alex in the comments asked a question. As a laser boundary sensor, you could use this really to trigger any break in that beam, right?
Sure, you can make it, toilet flushing system where laser tracks the bubble, and when it's out of the line, it refills the tank.
Yeah.
It can be anything, and with the firmware that can be reflashed by the consumer, thanks to the particle platform, they can use it for whatever they want. That's why I included the extension connector, so people can add motion sensors, temperature sensors, because there's a lot of power in that Cortex processor there, and plenty of memory to add custom features.
So let's talk about your development project. I mean, you built this yourself. You found all the
Right.
parts and everything. What kind of challenges did you have in trying to build this all by yourself there?
That's the challenge in itself, because I live in a small area where technology is guns and tractors. You know, so all the parts that I got are from eBay. Usually from China, and I have background in engineering, hardware engineering. I have a master's in electronics design, and most of my life I worked as a software developer. So that's a combo that allowed me to pull this off. And many things that I never worked with, like creating the case, that mechanical part of it. I'm not a mechanical engineer, so it took many iterations to get to where we are now. So it can be pointed with a mount, and the terminal in the back can be accessed without taking any lids off the product. So it was a slow process, but I'm pretty happy with the result.
So you sent some great photos up here. I got a second photo with the case off, so you can see the chip and all your hard work on putting that together. So yeah, so you see, not only you did the hardware, but you're leveraging. You mentioned the particle platform. Can you talk a little bit about all the different things that you could have chosen? Why particle?
Uh, particle guys are great. I can't say enough good things about them, because they provide the product that is inexpensive, and it supports a lot of developer features. I can go and look at the log of events that comes from my device, and I can compile it online, using the web editor, or I can do that locally. There's just endless variety of things that you can do with these things, and there's plenty of power. They have like certification on these chips, that I don't have to deal like FCC right now and other things that I'd rather avoid at this point. So it's a great starting point, and you can get one chip that is $19 and start out with that. And if you're making a product, you can go to the next one, uh, which requires additional hardware around, but it's much cheaper. And there's the next one, and then they describe the whole process of going from project, something you build for yourself, to the mass product. So they have all these stages and all this hand holding, on the way there. So if for somebody without any product experience. And that's a great help that they facilitated. And I'm an engineer. I'm not a product guy. I you
So
know I
I gotta
don't deal with
ask you.
consumers.
I watched your intro video, and I think you had Mr. Garadget on there. Is that a friend of yours, or did you hire an actor for that, or?
These are actually buddies that I ride mountain bikes with,
Oh yeah,
and they started. So that's why you see all the bikes in the
yeah.
video and the bike shorts and all that. So these are great guys. They started like a movie production operation,
Oh okay.
and I was one of their first clients, so to speak. And they did a great job. It has a nice humor to it,
Yeah.
and even they have a great characters in there. So I liked it a lot. That was probably the only experience that I enjoy sharing the project with somebody, and they didn't require uh, micromanaging. I had a script second by second that I provided them. They scrapped most of it, and they came up with their own idea that I loved out of the door.
Yeah, no, it's a fun, kind of viral video there, of all the fun things that go on there. So I think it was very well done, and my hat's off to him. So if you have a chance to head up to the Garadget YouTube channel and check out there's an intro video, and I think there's another video that kind of describes some of the development process. And so real quick, you're hoping to integrate this into Smart Things, and now. Just out of curiosity, are we looking at like a cloud to cloud type integration where we're connecting to the cloud side of things, or is this device really addressable as a local LAN device?
At this point, there is no local connection option, so it talks through the particle cloud.
Okay.
And one of the community members responded to my call, and they started to work on actual integration app. And from what I saw, they made pretty good progress in just a day. So thing is that another good thing about Particle is that it's very well documented,
Hmm.
and the person was able to just look at the documentation and just start out. So it's going to be on GitHub, so anybody interested will be able
Right.
to see it and collaborate and comment on it.
So we've got one question from Steriliza123. He asked a question. He says, "Is the reflective sticker essential?" He was thinking of using it as a presence sensor for his car by aiming it towards the driveway.
That was actually one of the ideas that I had. One of the early prototypes had like multiple lasers,
Okay.
and the idea was to shine one down and have a sticker. We have a sticker on the floor of the garage, so when vehicle rolls in, it blocks the beam, and this way another laser determines if car is present. So, but then I just went all Apple and decided to do just a minimum, minimalistic design.
Sure.
Everything is integrated in one case. No wires other than absolutely necessary. So this can be added as external sensor. But yeah, the same method can be used to determine if other things are present, or if anything blocks the way. So if a sticker is on the floor of the garage and the garage is pointing down to the floor, it can be used to determine if vehicle is in the garage.
That's
But
yeah.
but sticker itself is essential because it has reflective properties that are not found in anything else. Basically, you can point at the white wall, you know, 3 feet away from this thing, and it's not going to trigger. And you put the reflective sticker, 20 feet away, and it's going to trigger. So the properties of that makes it really, really noticeable for the laser, which is a good thing because it's not going to be sensitive to false positives.
Yeah, so one of the Alex Baker asked, if watertight outdoor rating could be achieved, maybe even in a future product version, that would be cool too. So
Maybe in a future product, but again, I don't know if I mentioned the only condition when it when there's a source of bright light from behind the device in the same direction as the laser is shining,
Sure.
it may not get quite as a resolution and reliability as normally it gets in the indoors environment. So that's something that I'll have to test in field and see. But I don't see why not.
So I appreciate you coming on and telling us about this device and your development process. I'm thoroughly impressed by your hardware and software ability to put this all together. My hat's off to you. Before we wrap this up, what's the best way to find this? You got a website?
It's currently everything links to Kickstarter. That's
Okay.
the priority.
So
And,
Kickstarter,
that's
search for Garadget or Garadget.
you can go to garadget.com and it will redirect to a Kickstarter.
Perfect. And
Or
so if you
just search on Google and we'll go there still.
and if so, you're on Kickstarter now. How's the progress working for you? How's been the Kickstarter process for you?
It's got funded. We're at 130 something percent.
Excellent.
It levels out because the number of backers every day kind of levels out. I expect it's kind of market's getting saturated. Among those who go to Kickstarter,
Sure.
most of them probably noticed. I'm not much of a PR person. This is one of my first appearances in public, so that's why that aspect of marketing is not very strong. But it gets enough excitement on Kickstarter, so it's funded. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And once Kickstarter campaign is through, the garadget.com will be just a regular website with a store where those items will be available first for pre-order and then for the purchase like anywhere else.
And the Kickstarter price right now, $79. Am I correct on that?
71 for one unit, and there's discount for two, and there's option for three with even more discount.
So I think I like the price point. I like the device. I think there's a lot of other interesting applications for it. Probably even at a retail level too. I can't tell you how many retail stores I go in and you break that beam and it's got the chime. But linking up to text alerts or what have you that somebody came in the store. As somebody who started off in retail work, I can't tell you how many times I was in the back, cleaning up inventory or what have you, and somebody would walk in the door and the only thing you could hear is bing bong. But in today's world with millennials with headphones in and not listening, if their phone could vibrate or send them a text alert that somebody broke that beam and came into the place. I think there's tons of other applications other than the garages. But frankly, most people who have houses have garages, and I think
Right.
to be able to add this to
I
it.
didn't mention yet that the particle platform has integration with IFTTT. So
Oh, okay.
there are recipes, for anything that's particle, including the garadget that can be used to send messages, notifications, link into other things. So there's a great potential for it.
Yeah, no, I think it's exciting. I'm really happy to see you bring this kind of concept to the Smart Things community. Hopefully, more people will see that once we figure out the whole particle to Smart Things integration, that more devices can come from it. And of course, I'm sure this isn't your only ambition in life is to do this, but maybe it is. But I'm sure with your talents, really excited to see what else you might bring to market here.
A couple of ideas, but I need to build a war chest, so I don't spend my family's savings on it.
Well, I wish you all the luck, Dennis. It's
Thank you.
a great product. I appreciate you coming on Live Code Fridays here, and feel free to stick around as we continue to do this. Would love to have your insight on some of the things. We're going to do some fun things tonight. So
I can talk all day about an if and else's and programming stuff.
So check out Garadget, GARADGET.com. I think that's probably the fastest way to do it. Search on Kickstarter, order it up. You've already reached your funding, so that's awesome. And I wish you all the best of luck. I'll probably just because I've got a second garage door that I never wired up, rather than having to wire up all the read sensors and everything to it, I might just order one of your products and get that second garage door hooked up too. So I'll try to. I'm looking forward to integrating into Smart Things. So again, thank you very much, Dennis.
Support.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks for
I
having me.
appreciate it. And if you would like to come on and talk about your product or your development process or where you are in the process, don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can reach me, Patrick at livecodefridays.com.